Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, children of God. What a wonderful day it is. I found this and I went, oh, here's a truth we need to share with one another. Love never questions its own power and authority. Love never questions its own power and authority. It reigns supreme. Guess who we need to put in charge? Let's stand and sing in the silence. In this moment, peace is here, love is here, truth is here. We breathe and we know God is here. Oh, loving Father, Mother God, we acknowledge your presence moving in and through us this day. With each breath we take, we are thankful for your presence. We are grateful this day for the opportunity to come together, to worship, to sing, and to pray in the name, in the nature, in the power of the Christ. Amen.
Today's daily word is change, and we're going to have the reading of the daily word by Flo.
Morning, everyone. It's wonderful that you're all here this morning, and we certainly welcome you with love and open arms. Today's topic is change, and the title is, I Embrace Changes in My Life. Now, once I thought of life as a project to a plan. I set goals, and I created a timetable, and of course I expected immediate results. Over time, I learned life on earth is as unpredictable as the weather. And I sort of like to add to that as Oregon weather. The only thing certain is change. Now, I may react with fear when my life changes, but when this happens, I pick up my spiritual tools. Throughout the day, I affirm, I deny the power of fear. I am wise, capable, and confident, and I embrace change. Spirit guides and supports me as I leave behind familiar faces, or places, and habits. I let go of expectations, and I leave the outcome to God. Love remains no matter what. I am the peace Jesus so lovingly shared. From the book of John, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. And so it is. Thank you.
One of the things that I've figured out over the years, it's taken me a while, and I'm still working on it to a degree, is I just need to get out of the way. And when I can get out of the way, then God will work, regardless of what the screen says, or what I'm thinking. I just know that when I just step out of the way and let God flow through me, that everything is happening as it should. Part of that is to remember who I am. And so, we regularly affirm the truth of our self, of our being. Let's take our affirmation together. I am a child of the loving God. I have within me the all-creating power of the Christ. It radiates from me and blesses all whom I contact. I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I am now in the presence. Let us rest into that as we join with Steve. The Father and I are one. From your heart now. Having spoken these words of the truth of us, gently now, easily, we move to that place that Jesus called our inner closet, our secret place. It is that place within you where there is no question, there is no doubt. The Father and I are one. And as we enter in this day, we close the door on those thoughts and feelings of what I should have done. We close the door on those thoughts and feelings of what I have yet to do this day. And for one holy moment, I rest. I breathe. And I listen. In my prayers, I'm learning to ask. Here in the silence, answers come. Perhaps in the form of word, peace, order. Perhaps in a song. Regardless of how it appears for you this day, know that all gifts come wrapped in love. And today, I choose to reach out and say yes. I take these gifts knowing all my needs are met. In this moment, all my needs are met. I breathe it. I immerse myself in it, and as I do so, every cell of my being responds. In this moment, I am whole and free. In this moment, in affirming our oneness, I remember I am a channel through which good flows into my world. This day, I open that channel wide. From me, through me, love flows, good flows. First, into this room. Where those gifts freely moving from you, through you, join with other thought of like mind. They grow in strength and power and touch each and every one of God's children. And in this moment, I am blessed. I choose to continue to be a blessing from me, through me, from this place into our community, wherever that might be this day, touching each and every one of God's children. Love flows, peace flows, order flows. And in this moment, I am blessed. I choose to continue to be a blessing from me, through me, across our city, across our state, touching each and every one of God's children. Love flows, good flows, across our country, around our world, touching, healing, blessing, love flows. And in this moment, I am blessed. I choose to continue to be a blessing into every circumstance. I breathe love from me, through me. The flow moves across our universe. And knowing that in truth and in spirit, we are never separate one from the other. Somewhere, someone is saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the gifts that have come this day from you, through you, are gratefully received. And that gratitude swells up and returns to you. The circle of life, whole and complete. And in this moment, I breathe and I rest for one holy moment. knowing there is more yet for me to do this day, holding to this experience we have just shared, gently now, easily I bring my attention back to this place, to this now. And from my heart, I join with you and pray as Jesus, our elder brother, has taught us when he said, "As for you, pray therefore in this manner." Yay. There was an announcement that didn't make it, and I think it's important to make it now. And that is that on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock, we have our Silent Unity Prayer Service, where we join with other voices from around our world and join in prayer. And then at 11:30, we have an open discussion called our Metaphysical Bible Discussion. And for those of you who want your mind blown, we are currently working in the book of Revelation. Now, notice how I said that, Revelation. How many of you heard it Revelations with an S? Wrong, no S. Just an N, Revelation. Revelation means the unveiling. And there is a book, somebody once said that Revelation was the book of unity, and I think they're right in a lot of ways. One of the ways is that the entire book is written in symbolic measure, meaning everything is about symbols, everything is about interpretation, everything is about putting things in construct for you. It's a story, the book of Revelation is a story about you, your unveiling. And as a result, we're having a lot of fun with it, and we're learning a lot of things at the same time, things that I didn't know. Gee, I had something new to learn too, yay. And then have the opportunity to share and how to learn to undo some beliefs that are not true. They just aren't. However, you get to decide what that means. And that's what's really important. Which brings us to today. Being in the shadow. Being in the shadow, you think, wait a minute, that's in the dark. But you have to remember where it comes from. It comes from the 91st Psalm. And it begins this way. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Say now, for our brethren in the desert, being in the shadow is a really good thing. Because they have the tendency to look at the sun as an enemy, the heat as an enemy, so that a weary traveler finds refuge in the shadow. And we need to hold that in mind. That when I have a challenge, I am in the protection of the Almighty. The reason I say it that way is because our friend George Lamsa, that was from the King James, by the way. Lamsa translates from Aramaic and Hebrew directly to English without going through the Greek. Okay? And he writes it this way: he who dwells in the protection of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Ooh. There's another one of those fear not pieces, isn't it? Comma, however. We always have those, right? There's a caveat in that. And the caveat is abide. What does that mean? That means live in, yes? So when we take time out, as we did in our prayer and meditation, we go into the silence, that's abiding in the presence, isn't it? Comma, with a temporary sign. Because then, I'm back out here and I'm busy. Da, 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 da. Oops. And then when trouble and tribulation hits, what do? Oh, let's get back in the silence. But if I'm not there already, sometimes, my prayers are going to work, we know that, but sometimes it's a challenge because there's so much going on that it takes me a while to center and really get there. That now I know I'm in the protection. I know these words that we use are then true. I am a beloved child of God, and I like to add, in whom I am well pleased. I like that line. That makes me feel good. That makes my heart work. Right? The other thing that I'm discovering as a part of this process is that our prayer work, we need to expand a whole lot. And by expansion, I mean this. When you pray, do you pray with your head or with your heart? Sometimes I pray with my head, yeah, and sometimes I pray with my heart. Try this one on. Try praying with all of you. From the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, every cell in my being is one. Breathe that for a moment, will you? Every cell in my being is one. Pray from there. And if that doesn't make little God bumps on you, you need to breathe some more. Right? Because for me, this was a new process. And really that's what it comes down to. I got prayer down pretty well. Not as well as I would like to have, and I don't live there all the time. I'm going back to that abiding piece, but I'm getting there. But this piece has made huge differences in my life. Is learning how to pray with all of me so that I can be in that shadow. I'm in that place of protection all the time. All the time. And it's not even a question mark anymore. That's where I live and move and have my being. And so do you. And the neat thing is, it doesn't matter the stuff you're carrying with you. God loves you anyway. Baggage and all. It goes back to what we started with. Love doesn't question its own power and authority. It just is. And that's the truth of who you are. Coming from love. Now, in order to express that, in other words, in order to bring it into demonstration, I need to get past some things. That'll be the things that I always thought were true that aren't. As an example, One of the things for Rob, a truth that wasn't true. I learned very early on that when we went to, my mom was a single mom, and when we went to family gatherings, if my mother was happy, my relatives all said to me, "You're doing a great job as the man of the house." And I was 7. Okay? Now they're saying, now watch this, they're saying it with love and meant it. They're saying it as praise. Here's how Rob translated it. If I do nothing wrong and make my mother happy, they will love me. And in my lifetime, there have been a lot of times when that was my default position. I'll go do nothing, and then they will love me. Guess what? That doesn't work. Because you need output, you need action. See, remember, it's thought, feeling, word, action, demonstration. You have to have that action piece in there as well. So I learned over time that when I get into this mode of do nothing, that I need to say to me, that's not the truth of who you are. You are loved regardless, but action and activity is what is required of you to move forward. So I can take that which is no longer true and do this with it, and then start again. Now, how often do I do that? Not counting about an hour ago. Answer is all the time. Anytime it shows up, I take this truth that I've held for my whole life, and I just set it aside. It's not true, I set it aside. I move back into, I am always in a position of being loved. That never goes away. It will show up in my life through many of God's children, for which I am grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But the most important love comes from here out. When I can come from my heart and go out in each thought and word and action, living my truth. That, by the way, is very simple, however, not necessarily easy. Sometimes a challenge, particularly when faced with whatever challenges show up in your world. Flo and I were just talking about it a little bit ago. One of the challenges that's really hard for anyone who is a student of truth for any length of time to go and say, I am well, knowing I don't feel well. And then we feel guilty, maybe even a little shamed, because I know better. How many have had that thought besides me? There we go. See, we all play that, don't we? And so, when we find ourselves in that, then we do this. I won't tell anybody I'm sick. I just won't. And when I do that, I've also shut down the inside as well. I want to heal. I want to be whole and free. It's the truth of me. But I go into denial that this is my experience, it's my reality, and I can change it. And I have nothing to be ashamed about. Why? I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out. Good for you. You're in really, really good company. Story after story after story in the Bible, the people who made it mostly, but still had some issues. One or two. My favorite being my brother Peter. Jesus who? I don't think a big guy, beard, no, don't know him. Right? Oops. Right? This is part of the growth process. So when I go there, then I feel as if I am out of protection. I'm out of sorts. And you are. But it's not because God isn't right there with you in that moment. It's because I'm still holding on to error beliefs and error thinking. And when I shift that error around, yay, I'm back in. Had a great discussion not too long ago. Is how often do I forgive my brother? And the Bible says 70 to the 77th. In other words, forever, right? Okay, it's the same thing. How often do you forgive you? Well, see, it's easy to forgive my brother. My brother's a putz. I love you, in case you're watching. No, my brother's not a putz. But it's easy for me to forgive outside of self, much different to come back inside. And part of our learning, part of our teaching, part of the work that we do is learning how to forgive ourselves from the errors that we hold. See, and it's a Rob, and I give it to you for what it's worth, when they, the people, brought to Jesus the sick, lame, and lazy to be healed, Jesus didn't see sick, lame, and lazy people. He didn't see it. What he saw was a child of God that needed an example of being open from the heart. Knowing that you, as a child of God, can heal you. You just have to be open from your heart. Openness wide. And that's what he did. Ta-da! And in that moment, they were healed. Those who did what? Opened it up. Those that went white robe, beard, sandals, still went home and going, and it's okay. You see, because we live in the truth we know. If I don't understand something, then I can't grab it, and I can't take it on and have it as my own. Right? And that's what we're about, you and I, is learning how to really take these stories, these examples of truth, and put them into work for us. Who gets to decide your truth? Feel free to raise your hand. I can't decide your truth for you. I can share with you what has been given to me, what I believe to be true. And I totally am 100% ready for you to say, Rob, you're full of prunes. Yes, I am. Because I'm learning not to take offense at what others think and feel. Because that's the right thing for you, wherever you are right now. So I'm just learning not to take offense. And it comes back to, because that's where I want to live, is in the shadow of the Almighty. I want to live in that power place. I do, but I want to actually live it and demonstrate it. So that as I grow and change, my world changes. And it does. Sometimes I can't see it. I was just watching a thing this morning. You forget how time flies when you're having fun. There was a story this morning about Alan Jackson. And his first record was 25 years ago. And as they said that, I went, yeah, we danced to that. Yesterday. Yeah. 25 years ago, yesterday. What has changed in your world in 25 years? What has changed in your lifetime? What has changed in unto the 4 generations? I was thinking about my great-grandmother. Came across the plains in a covered wagon. And saw men fly. My grandmother, born in San Francisco, 2 years before the quake, and then they moved to Oakland, survived that one, and saw a man move from horse and buggy to the automobile into space. What's gone in your lifetime? Look at the change that's gone in your lifetime. And it's because people of goodwill have learned to ask. We've learned how to reach out beyond ourselves and beyond our narrow scope of thinking and say there is more to me than just this. But a lot of times we just aren't sure, where do I start with that? There's so much, particularly today, there's so much going on in my world. And of course, every generation under the generation has said that exact same thing. There's so much going on, the world's just going down. So said Socrates, and here we are. So, you just got to take it for what it's worth. But there's a lot of stuff going on in our world that seems to say we're having some challenges over which we're having a difficulty overcoming. Okay. Good. Why? Because as it shows up in your world, you have the opportunity to change it. You have the opportunity to change it. Because here's what happens. When you heal you, you heal your world. So let's practice that. Breathe. From the tips of my toes to the top of my head, I see me and say, I love you. Together? I love you. From the tips of my toes to the top of my head, to every cell of my being, I say, I bless you. Together? I bless you. From the tips of my toes to the top of my head, every cell, I appreciate you. Together? I appreciate you. From the tips of my toes to the top of my head, I let the light shine, and in that moment say, I behold the Christ. Together? I behold the Christ. In that moment, you have changed your world.
Thank you for listening. Please feel free to pass this message along to your friends and family. You can obtain additional audio tapes or CDs by visiting our website or by calling our office at 541-772-6902. We invite you to join us in prayer. We know that prayer works, and now you can send your prayer request to our prayer team here at Christ Unity Church by using the form on our website. The activities, programs, and services of this ministry are presented on a love offering basis. All gifts, regardless of size, are gratefully accepted. You may participate either by sending your gift to Christ Unity Church, 540 North Holly Street, Medford, Oregon, 97501, or by visiting us on the internet at www.unitymedford.org.